can do is he'll actually print off the cards and we can mail the cards in. Right now, currently, they're not allowing anyone, because it's still new for the state and everything, they're not actually allowing anyone to connect to the state's program via mobile yet. I have been in contact with the guy that's over all that, and he is going to be speaking with his people next week to see if they can get that passed, because, I mean, it's something that's going to have to be done. But regardless, even if that isn't an option to identify people, we can still, when we book people in, say, take them all the way to jail book them in and all that stuff, which right now, all we're doing on misdemeanors anyway is writing them a non-traffic UTC, but they're not fingerprinted with that. So this will actually fingerprint them with that, and they'll go in their system so that it'll go along with fingerprints along with the arrest record, showing that it was that person and helps on the conviction rate. So that way it helps follow them in the system, because they said their last conference, there's a big issue with that, because, a lot of people, for misdemeanors, they wouldn't fingerprint. And so a lot of when you run them, a lot of the convictions and stuff wasn't showing up for some reason. So that's what I'm asking for.
Will this be in the car that's on duty?
Yes, that'll be on the cars that's on duty. And if there's two on duty, then it'll be like if Jeff, I won't let Jeff necessarily keep it with him, because he works 3-3 shifts, so he'll always be with somebody. So it'll be whoever's working the 5 to 5 shifts, but keep it in the car with him. And then if we need it here, somebody comes in, needing to be fingerprinted, we can do that. Because now, with the new mandates that the state set for law enforcement reserves and everybody else, I have to fingerprint any and all applicants and send them to them after they're hired. After they are hired, or once they're accepted into the reserve program, they have to all be fingerprinted. It doesn't matter if I quit today and come back tomorrow, I have to have re-fingerprinted and sent back in. It's one of those weird mandates where they're trying to hold, because they're actually creating a database to try to keep track of officers, and to try to keep those that are bad officers in this area, to try to keep them from being able to skip and hop and jump around like so many of them have done in the past.
So why don't you need two? It's out of my purview, but if you got two people on and one of them's tied up and he's the one with the thing, why don't you get two of them?
Currently, I don't see that being an issue, just to be honest with you, because one of them always be able to get to it. So right now, I really don't see that being an issue. Maybe way on down the road, we might need another one, but this one is this actually does fingerprints, the rolls, all that kind of stuff. It's not just.
So does this only report to the state database, or could we create our own database out of it?
What this will do is this reports to the FBI and to CJIS. It's where this will report to.
So, all right, scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, follow me for a second.
Yeah.
I'm all about biometric tracking,
Right.
especially for safety workers, whatever, right?
Right.
So we're standing up for volunteer fire department, right?
Right.
I could see it being a requirement that we fingerprint our
Yes, and
volunteer firefighters.
what I can do on that is I can actually fingerprint them, and I've got the cards already, and you just stick them in there, you fingerprint them, you get scanned out on the card, and then I can send those to the state, and or we can keep a copy here, or we can send them to the state, however we need to do.
So we could keep a file of our own personnel for worst case scenarios if we needed to.
Yep.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, I can make, I can scan their fingerprints, and once they're in the system, I can make 10 copies if they're needed.
That was my question.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have the ability to print multiples. Yeah. And one set, because that's what we do now, is one set stays here on file as well for the officers.
I think that's smart. We should probably, again, thinking, on the bigger picture, they should probably be digital, and they should probably live on our server that's backed up off-site, so that in case of an absolute disaster of the building, we still have a copy of all the digital ones. So, 'cause
I don't know if they'll allow us to do that or not. I'd have to check.
but you see what I'm thinking, and you know where I'm going with
Right,
that, so.
absolutely.
Because right now, we have the capability of standing up town hall off-site, even with the
Right.
body cam footage for that matter. If something happens to the building, everything's backed up.
Right,
And so, if we're gonna track personnel,
right.
and I would, yeah, it's
Because-
probably
because
worth doing for all town employees, really.
Yeah.
Have a personal database of that.
Yeah, because the actual, device itself, it's got relatively small data, collection. It only, I think it's like 8 gigabytes.
Well, that's why I was thinking more along the lines of keeping it on a file
Yeah,
folder
yeah.
on our server,
Right,
versus sending it to them, but I didn't know how much user adaptability they gave us with it, right?
yeah.
And how much control that they had to have over it, I didn't know, that's kind of what I was.
Correct, yeah, we'll have 100% control over it from what I'm understanding. We have 100% control over it. It's just whether or not they're gonna allow us to electronically tie into their system where I can upload them via their secure server, or whether I'm gonna have to print every single prints off and mail them in.
So the only, if they'll let you do is you print the cards, and then we scan the cards in a high-resolution scanner,
Mhm.
and then we save
Yeah.
the PDFs or JPEGs of them.
Yeah.
And keep them with your personnel folders, which should all be backed up offline. So as part of the employee personnel folder, there's a copy of the fingerprints in there, and we just make that a standard part of it.
Yep, I'm with you. Yep, absolutely. Yep, I could definitely do that.
That may be the simple, easy answer, since we have the capability of making them on site now.
Right, yep. Or like, if we get, people who don't have a driver's license, and that's what I'm hoping that they're gonna allow us to do it is, sometimes we get people that say, oh, I'm so-and-so, and they get,
No
no
driver's
driver in
license.
California and you can't pull nothing on them. Well, with this, if they've ever been arrested, hopefully they'll allow us to connect to their server so we can run their prints, and then we'll get a hit back saying, yeah, this is that person. Or if you got heaven forbid, if you have a subject that nobody knows who it is and they're deceased, you can scan it and see if it'll ever come back with a hit. Yes, sir. It's the initial price was $12,000.
$641.20, and that comes with 1 year warranty. And then after the first year, the warranty was 14.
Yeah, I think, there it is. Yeah.
$1,460 for 8 to 5, or $1,750 for 24/7.
And for $300 extra a year.
So that's not necessarily so much, it is a warranty, but that is actually.
That's actually phone support,
Yeah.
on-site or remote phone support,
That's why it's so
and the
expensive.
software updates as they come out.
Yeah. And we're probably gonna have to, the software updates are probably, if you're gonna stay state compliant, you're gonna have to keep those.
Yeah, and those would be after the first year of service.
And for $300 extra a year, I don't see the need in needing 24/7. We can wait till Monday to call on this need. But
See how much you need it for the first year, and then if you justify it the second year, you go up, so. So
we
if
could
your
always do
budget
that.
just goes up by, $1,500 a year or whatever it is, it's part of the maintenance cost.
Right, and this also has facial recognition and iris scanner. I'm not interested in that because I've got a facial recognition software in here. All I gotta do is take a picture of somebody, I can throw the picture on there and I can do facial recognition. That ain't no problem. And the iris scanner, to me, I think it's a little too high tech to,
There's no real database that's accessible right now for that either, is it, that I've seen?
right. I don't know of anybody that uses iris scanner,
I don't know, but
but it has the capability if we ever decide it.
Okay,
So that's for consideration for vote on Tuesday at our council meeting.
And going along with that, I was talking with Tony earlier, I'm obviously all for this. When we're spending American Rescue Act money, just remember that originally, before we had to make changes, we were gonna put a playground in, and we were gonna buy a truck for the fire department, especially since we've lost the brush truck. We should still have plenty of money, including doing this, but I just wanted to put that back in everybody's mind again, that we need to bring those back to which means you need to start thinking about a truck if we're gonna do that, or if we need one, or if we don't need one, then we need to get the money back. So, that's just, putting that thought back out there.
I've budgeted for it, we won't budget down.
Right.
Part of that money's already there.
But we don't have it
Right.
agreed upon again, right? So,
If my budget's approved, it will be because it's done. See what I'm saying?
yes.
But it's the same part of the plan on there.
Okay, so where do we go from there?
Okay, so the next thing on here is the budget expenditures for 21-22, which would have been October 1 through this month. Not everything is in for September, obviously, because the month is not over, money's not done coming in, money's not done going out. But everything that I've got entered is in here. I don't know, does anyone want to go through this line by line or have a question about anything particular?
So which one is which?
So the first one that says October 21 through September 22,
The profit and loss.
looks just like this.
Gotcha, that makes sense, okay, all right.
Says
Now-
21
now I
through
follow.
22. Okay.
Thank you.
So I know that all of y'all been kind of looking through it while we've been sitting here. Is there a question about anything particular on this, or is there something that, I don't know, do y'all want to discuss about it? I feel like going through it line by line would be a little much.
So we came out $500,000 over what we budgeted, is that correct? I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Roughly $598,000 over what we budgeted. Make sure I'm reading it.
This was a big year of increase in everything, costs for everything,
We grew,
and we've grown. That's correct.
we grew. Not those in a plan, just make sure I understood.
Yep. So I'm always available to answer questions about any of these things. If it's something y'all see later at home, you call back, or email me and ask, I'll be happy to answer. I just think it's a little much to go through it line by line.
Okay.
So if y'all are good with that, we'll move on to the next one, which is our balance sheet comparison from last year to this year. Looks like this. It says balance sheet comparison at the top. That just kind of gives you, this was as of yesterday, the balances and the accounts. One thing I would bring to your attention is last year, all the sewer general payments were wrapped up into the general fund. And this year, they are obviously separated down at the very last line. And so that's a big difference there. And then Stador had its own account last year, but because we needed to add another account for the sewer general to be out on its own, we put Stador back into general and have its own line item. If you look through the budget, you'll see it has its own line item. So those are two changes that happened between last year and this year. And just for the record, any entries that are made into the bank or in the computer system that affect any account, but especially the bank accounts, have backup and journal entries and stuff like that. So, any questions on that? Okay. The next one is the expenditures for the building department and the requested budget for the building department. It has a purple block here and a yellow block there. Did y'all find that one? And it does say building department about a third of the way down on the page. So last year we budgeted $25,000 for permits and inspection fees, but as y'all have heard over the last few months from Laura's awesome reports, we actually have taken in $93,297.37 in permit and inspection fees so far. And Laura looked over the plans for the subdivisions we have and is predicting around $230,500. And that is very rough because it's very difficult to guesstimate on that. But if all the houses come to fruition that are supposed to this next year, that's what it looks like, right? And then planning or zoning meeting fees. That's what we took in this year. That includes the fee for the meeting and then the fee for the postage. And I know if you look in the block at the bottom of the page, it says the only expenses related to the building department is notification of hearings by mail. We are required to send certified letters to any adjacent landowners that relate to the meeting being held. And so that's where some of that expense is, but that money comes back through the developer or builder. They all pay for that, or the meeting isn't held. So we expected there to be more growth and change, and so we just did a requested budget of $1,500. Subdivision street lighting fees we took off because they pay us for every street light, and so we just run that through the city utility budget. We pay the thing, they pay us right back for it. It just has to come directly from the city. So we did not budget any expense or income for that because we're not going to receive anything in pocket. You know, it's just a wash through. And then temp power, there's not a fee for that, and I'm not sure why it was ever on the budget over the last few years, but zoning books and subdivision books, those are all going online. We're working with Hope to get those published online. Everybody that we have talked to at other municipalities, not just in the state of Alabama, but across the southeast that I've spoken to, all their books are online. And so we're not charging for them anymore. If they want a paper copy, we'll charge them then, but I think it's silly to do, you can only get it by book, you know, they can look it up online, let them look at it online. And then there's usually nothing else that's any other revenue that we did this year, so there wasn't. But we have started charging re-inspection fees. They automatically pay for 3 inspections for residential.
4.
4 inspections.
They have sewer.
4 inspections for residential, and how many for commercial? An unlimited?
That's determined by Allen
Okay.
according to their building plans.
However, if you've paid for your 4 plus your building permits and you have to have a re-inspection, we've taken the time to call Tim out to inspect, and you have to have a re-inspection, then you are charged another fee. Y'all passed that ordinance this past year, and so that is what we're expecting for income for re-inspection fees this year. Any questions on the building department?
So the only expenses the building department has is Laura's salary and paper.
Basically, as far as anything that we expend for the building department would be her salary, Tim and Alan's, of course. And then paper, like you said, because everything else money comes back in. The subdivision lighting fees, the sewer, what is that thing called when they do?
TBIs for the sewers, they have to pay for those also. That's
Every
where the
time that
inspection
Bill's asked to
process
come and
now.
check the house for the sewer, make sure it's connected correctly, we get charged by Bill, but they pay actually more than Bill charges us, so. And then, the other thing, the mail outs. So that's the only expenses we have, but everything is back to us, except for paper and the salaries for our employees. Anything else? Okay. The next one is court. Holly, would you like to talk about it, or you want me to go over it and then if they have questions?
Oh, go for it.
You sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
You're on a roll. So last year, income for cash bond was $1,200, and the court docket brought in over $97,000. We've left that budget requested at $5,000 and $100,000 for those 2 things. Polly and I worked together on the expenses for the request for this coming year. I'm not going to read every single one of those for you all. That's silly. But some were adjusted at Polly's request, and so we did that. And it is actually a lot less than last year, so thank you very much, Polly. So I'll let y'all look through those, and if you have any questions.
I thought we cut the judge and attorney services.
Well, so Polly is actually paid through payroll now instead of through expense line. So that needs to be corrected on that one side, Judge. Sorry about that. So that's just what our attorney services for, and we have 2 that's coming all the time now. Polly, is that correct?
Yes.
Sarah Taggart and
And Larry Marcelli.
Larry Marcelli. That's right. Yes. I forgot his name that stepped down from coming. What's his name? I'm sorry.
Brian Williams.
Brian Williams. Because of the change, he couldn't come at the 1 o'clock time, so he's not going to be participating anymore. So, do you want to say anything about any of that, Polly?
No, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There were areas where we were budgeting more really than we had to, and so I tried to trim those, and then the other ones just kind of carry across.
I would ask you, because I thought about it today, but I had already had all this printed, so
Yeah.
I thought it'd be better just to talk in person about it with everyone. You mentioned the other week that you're starting a probation here.
Yes.
Will there be any expense, is that for labor on that? I mean,
No, there shouldn't be anything.
okay,
There should actually be some income generated from it.
okay, but we don't have any idea what that would be.
Mm, Not until Brandy gets a little bit more into it. She's
Okay.
going to have some training,
Yes,
shadowing someone from the city of Madison
right,
next week.
okay,
So there will be actually fees that are required when somebody comes in and meets with probation. So that will, that's $30 each time. So
okay,
that'll definitely add up pretty fast.
okay.
But just
Great.
to be in compliance with what courts do under the statute. So,
And Brandy Lee,
and that's something we have not been doing.
right, this is new.
It's wide open. It's just nobody has has put the time into it to do some of these things. So,
I have a question on this.
Sure.
Do we provide her with her own email address?
She does have an email address, she does not have a laptop.
No, my next question, do we need to go into, especially since she's now a town employee and she's gonna be working here more hours, do we need to go ahead and make sure she has a laptop and the ability to VPN as well?
Polly?
VPN would be good. I don't mind using the one I already have.
I kinda need it to be one of ours so that it's monitored.
And it's
Sure.
backed up to this,
And so
Yeah.
basically, that's the same reason for using the OCR email address, is that email address, everything that's on it is backed up forever and we're gonna delete it.
Exactly.
And so, if we issue you a computer, it's a terminal basically is what it is, and so it'll run off the server here.
Right.
And it will allow, so you'll have access to general folders here, or private folders that you and Randy may create,
Right.
and it'll allow for sharing. And that laptop will then be our responsibility for virus protection, for hacking, for repair, for anything.
Sure. I'd like to be able to have what you're describing on the bench when I'm up there during court, because a lot of these things with Alicourt access that we're adding, I'll actually be able to pull up somebody's criminal history like right there, the way Madison County does it.
Good.
We should.
okay.
So
And
for that
I
purpose, I don't need
guarantee
to
there's
use
gonna be a
it.
software component to this too that we don't have, but I don't know what it is yet. There's gonna be another license, it'll probably be a
So it's
3
probably a
to.
Microsoft Office license or
Well,
something.
there's probably gonna be some specific Madison County stuff too, to get in
Okay.
access. I don't know that for certain, I'm just guessing at this
Yeah.
point. So if
So
we're
you
gonna,
need to call James.
yeah, we'll probably budget of $3,000 to $8,000 for this for the first year.
Okay.
That'll get it set up and running, then we'll know after that what it actually is.
And that'll go under your,
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
not gonna change anyway, because Shannon's already hit me with curveballs.
I know, I heard.
So it's okay. But that's the right, we've treated everybody else that way, and this is important enough that we do it
Yes.
too.
Okay. Is there,
Thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate that.
is there anything else on her budget, the court budget that we need to discuss? Okay, moving next.
The other thing is they actually, if we have never been in lockdown, they actually allow you the capability of doing court from a remote location.
Yeah.
Because it will be over our secure server.
Right. Yeah, that's the only thing that would prohibit it now.
Correct.
Yeah, if I'm physically here, we can do it. But it'd be nice to have other options.
And if you had to do remote court in the building from room to room, you could do that as well. I've seen that. So,
True.
anyway, sorry. Thank you.
Related to that, related to access to that, I prefer to have a designated sort of government computer than for all that. I think that's appropriate. I don't mind accessing email from my own computer, but getting into the level of what we're talking about, yeah, you're right. It's true. Thank you for that.
Okay, the next is the fire department.
Or can we skip that one?
Shannon or James, do one of y'all want to do that?
The biggest thing about it is for the 5-year, 10-year capital plan, the way it reads, over here at the bottom right-hand corner, it's got those two 500s. They should be there. One of them should be 50,000, and the other one is 100,000. No, both of them are 50, right? No,
No, you got
One's a
50,
hun-
one's
one's
50 and
100.
one's 100, yeah.
and one's 100. So that drops that number down from being really, really scary.
Public safety building's 100 or?
Per year. For
Yeah,
this-
per year,
for
right.
this
Right, when I
year.
said divided over 5 years, 100,000 if you look down, but, did I get the brush truck wrong? Is that,
No, the 5-year plan for the brush truck and pumper is technically 100,000 a year.
okay, so I had that right, okay.
And the public safety building I did over a 10-year.
Oh, my bad, sorry about
So
that.
that'll be 50
Sorry about that.
a year for the next 10 years. So that made that really, really scary to look at. So if we,
Yeah,
I
we'll
don't have
fix
a
it.
calculator, but if we retotal that, it comes down
Yeah,
and gets within.
So, yeah, when we went through this and broke it down, this has been the 2-year stab. We've never spent the money yet, so we still don't know what it's gonna cost until we actually run it. But it's $345,712.43.
And if you look, there's things that I did not budget for this upcoming year because I had carried up, my hopes were to get all my unspent funds from last budget year carried over. Because that's the way I had done it in my head and on paper when I started all this, is carrying those unspent funds into this year, which lets me drop some things from this year's budget that I didn't buy last year. And in my head, it works simpler that way.
So if we
The
couldn't,
the far right-hand column includes my unspent funds and the added funds for this year.
right. So if we couldn't carry them over, we'd just insert your
Right.
money that was unspent
So if
over
you
here.
look at where it says expenses, there's 345. 148 of that is unspent from last year. So the increase is, 200,000 right there. And then the capital was 150. And then capital expenses with the payroll and everything all together is 640. But that is still a little misleading because you take the payroll out. It's with a total with capital, without the capital expenses, including payroll, was 490.
Yeah, there's a change in the one we did the other day, and this one I'm trying to figure out where it is.
the numbers at the bottom are what you, indicated.
Yeah, well, it's-
I had to add that dispatch.
You've been changing something because
I got her to do it for me.
there's 20 grand difference in the two numbers. I was trying to figure out where
So he added the dispatch at 10K.
Right.
Okay.
Now the 20 is because I did have the IT under there.
Yeah,
and
but then
when
we took
deleted
out the,
that line, we did not redo the totals at the bottom.
Okay,
So they're technically 10,000 more than
so this would be for 80 instead of 490?
correct.
Okay, so this is still off.
So where
Because I
does
had
that,
10 in there for IT, and then I found out that falls under your category, so. we
Yeah,
deducted
right
that.
now, eventually I want to break that out, but for now, we're just
So
putting
it's,
it
the
underneath.
total request is 487.12.
480.
Plus,
So that's 335 at the top,
plus
instead of
the,
345.
the two capital plans of 150, because.
Yes, I got that one wrong. Sorry about that.
We're getting to the point of some of the structures we're having around here that ISO is gonna require a 1,500 gallon minute pumper, and ours are 1,250. And we're not gonna meet that standard if I don't start looking at getting a different truck.
understand. So where does the $10,000 come in for dispatch?
That is a general
1, 2,
number.
3 line, third line down.
Oh, no.
No, it's fine.
The line, oh, because of the being with them.
The deal that we've worked out this year is less than that, right? But it may end up being paid from the leftover funds that I had from last year. But it's gonna go up, and it's gonna go up countywide. I mean, everybody's gonna, the rest of the counties on the old system, we're gonna be the only one on
On
the
the new
new,
system.
on the new system.
Right,
And the price increase comes with that new system. They're phasing out what the rest of the county's using.
right,
And then once they do that and bump them up, they'll be paying the same we are.
okay.
So from my position on this, the 335 is a big number.
Yeah, 335.
335, 712, 43 to be exact. But it's, if we can budget it, we probably should. Because if we actually stand up and start running over the next year, we don't know what we're gonna be, and this will keep us from going into the red.
Right.
Hopefully, right? I'm hoping we don't spend that much money, but it's possible. So if you're looking at it with payroll, and I like to look at things with payroll, it's $480,712.43 is what we're budgeting total to run the fire department for next year.
I also, not to interrupt, I also increased the payroll amount, just looking to the future in case it comes to the point where we have to start hiring people. That may not happen, so that could be a fictional number.
And it's just a $45,000 increase.
It's just a
This is
projected,
bad.
right. Just in case the volunteers can't get it done and we have to hire somebody.
Right.
And
So, what's the bumper gear? Explain
That's turnouts.
turnouts.
on the capital stuff,
And they're about 5,000 a set, so if you'll notice, I lowered that amount for this coming year, but I had the 50 for 10 sets left from last year. So that's gonna give me about 14 sets when I get ready to buy those.
How long does that year last?
Usually, it depends on the wear and tear of it. It has an expiration date,
What was the general expiration date on that?
but I think they're good for about 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
But they wear out before that.
Yeah.
So they're never gonna last that long.
depending on what somebody's doing, they may reuse old gear. If they're not ever gonna be in an active fire, but they're gonna be somewhere on a roadside or something like that. So you kind of,
If they get hot and get discolored, gone. If they get a tear in them, gone.
but you've gotta have something to start with.
Yeah, yeah.
So the first few years will be rough.
I just didn't know how long that, like, I know like our vest, they only last like 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know what the expiration, but I would guess it can't be more than 5.
Yeah,
I would almost have to bet it's probably in the same range.
yeah, that's what.
And it's gonna be the same rules as your vest. If there's a tear or anything
Oh, yeah.
that happens, it's automatically thrown away,
Yeah.
right? It's gonna be the same rules. But, yeah.
So what kind of equipment purchases are you looking at?
I put that in there for miscellaneous stuff if we go ahead with the brush truck or whatever, stuff to put on it. And also a Lucas device, which is the device that does chest compression when we're doing CPR. Depending on which comes first, if we need that or if we get a brush truck or whatever, I have to outfit it. Because that Lucas device is 20-something thousand.
Is that something we could chase a grant for?
I was gonna say,
Possibly. I've been looking.
Well, could we also order our device, our replacement device for here, you think, with that?
No, but I can put that under.
No, I mean, that's not your expense, that's ours. That's a city hall expense. What's it called? That
Then why are you trying to spend
Right,
money?
the
defibrillator. No, I thought he said grant money, ARPA money.
Oh, that one. So you're trying to spend my money.
I'm not trying to spend your money.
All right, come on. We got a long night.
We're not arguing.
But
The defibrillator, you know, because ours is expired, so we have to
I
have one.
have enough money in my medical line that I can buy that defibrillator for.
Well, we'll talk about it.
We need to go ahead and get-
Because we're gonna be
If
servicing.
we don't
it
have
anyway.
one, we've got to get one in
We're
here.
gonna be servicing it anyway. I think your old one is now laying up at my
Yeah.
office. I noticed it does.
Bruce got it, but I mean, now
does
we don't
anyone know
have.
how to use
That's
it?
what's my next question, what's the?
Several people here.
And he may have already, with this little incident that happened the last few days, I
I think,
haven't got to talk to him, but it may
on
be.
the government side, it's
It could be.
Reason we
You're
get
right.
somebody to sleep.
For him to take that, I'm thinking the replacement's already on.
Okay, is that all on fire?
So on the fire department thing, just conjecture amongst this council member sitting here, mayor down there. I'm okay with the 487, 12, payroll and everything. Capital expenses, I don't think we ought to include them in this year's budget. And this is why. One is, we've got, hopefully we can use some of the American Rescue Act money like we started with. We have at least a start there. And secondly, I'd like to start chasing some grants. And I don't know how much money we've got. So I feel like if we shoot for a $610,000 or whatever it's going to cost us to run that number budget, I think that's getting too far. I think, and part of what Shannon's been saying, and this is Christie mayor discussion, however y'all, and council discussion as well, but he wants to try to carry over. Well, I mean, physical budgets don't necessarily work that way. You get to the end of the year, your money's gone.
Right.
This may help Jason if y'all decided to take this approach. It'd be up to y'all how y'all want to do it. But if they separate, let's keep it in one account, right? But just do separate budget item lines. So this is your money at the end of the year. Whatever plus you have is what you have to start the next year with. So, and then one model is you literally pay it in to a separate account or however you want to handle it in quarterly allotments. And so that money's just there for them to use, of course, with proper approval. I don't know. It's just conjecture. But it would be the only way I could think of that where the money wouldn't just go away. But if you had a budget and you were able to find ways to stay under it because you were working towards another truck or you had another big expense coming, then you could apply that money towards the next time. It would give you an incentive to try to stay under budget. It's just conjecture, like I said. That's all I got on the fire department side. Y'all tell me what you think.
I know on the government side, if you don't spend it, you lose it.
That's correct, and that is the typical model that everybody follows. This would be a deviation from what is typical to do it this way. This is not I want it this way or nothing like. I'm not even pushing for it. I'm just saying if we go that route, there are some incentives to it. One, like I said, is if you set a budget and you stay under, well, that's money you can spend on something else. It's an incentive. It makes it a little, if you're doing capital stuff like this where you're putting money aside, you're not going to spend $50,000 that year. And like Shannon and I, we were even talking, so say we finance these with the idea that we're going to turn it over or resell it or rebuy it every few years. Well, the finance amount will be a lot less than what the actual cash payout amount will be. And that's kind of also where I'm kind of not so sure I want to throw the capital expenses in just yet. But if you know that's coming, you can start putting. It's easier to put money aside. Told him.
I mean, you just carry that money over from.
Well, that's to say that, but that means that money doesn't end at the end of the year, right? It means you're carrying money over.
You got a budget line out there, and you've got this much money remaining. That would stay
in that thing.
in that budget.
Essentially what I've done is, had things went like they were supposed to go in the beginning, all this money would have been spent this year.
Right. Yeah, it just didn't.
So
No fault of yours.
Technically, all I've done is what would have been spent this year,
Right.
I added it to my budget for this year. So we're calling it carryover and all that, but technically I've just increased my budget because
Right.
to be where I would have been had things went right first year,
Right.
I would be asking for those additional funds this year.
Right.
So I'm rolling 2 years into one budget now because things didn't pan out the way we expected them to.
Right. I agree.
When you take out the $100,000 that's there, I mean, it's it's less than the police departments, and they're still trying to get set up. So I mean, that's the only.
Yeah. So if I remove the capital stuff altogether, it's with payroll.
Yeah, that's
It's
included.
400. It's 400, and I keep looking at this number. It's this number down here. It's $480,712.43.
Right.
Which I think is a respectable number. And I think that Shannon is 100% correct in the way he's thinking that we need to start budgeting these capitals in. I just don't know that we're there yet. And my first cut is I think it's going to take 3 full years, and I'm not saying we should wait 3 years, that's not what I'm saying, but it's gonna take, I think, 3 full years of running the fire department before we even know what it's gonna cost us on a yearly basis.
But we're gonna have to have a brush truck.
Yeah.
And my thing that if we're not gonna let the money roll over or budget this money and put it in an account to start saving for these trucks, 4 years from now, I'm not gonna be able to sit down at this table and ask for $1 million.
And I agree with you, that's why I said you are correct.
And that's not gonna happen.
So, all right, so under trucks, are we talking about both a brush truck and a pumper truck still?
Not immediately,
Not
but a
immediately.
brush truck right now. But who's to say what's gonna happen in the next 5 years? If
Oh,
we
no,
get,
no.
we get a set of apartments over here, boom, I gotta have a 1,500 gallon a minute truck,
Right.
there's $300,000, I'm gonna have to sit down at the table and ask somebody for it. If I've already budgeted 100,000 for 2 years, I've got $200,000 laying over here already of that 300,000.
I completely agree with you. My question is this, and you and I were talking about this on the other day. So, this is paying cash outright for it, right?
That is if we do that, yes.
Right, so one model, of course, is the finance model,
Correct.
which is less than $500,000 a year.
Right.
Um,
Well, it's not 500,000 a year.
It's 100,000.
That's over five, it's 100,000.
$100,000, sorry, that number, yeah, it's right there and wrong here, sorry, I was messing with you there for a minute. So,
And then the public safety building, we don't know when that's gonna be. I just put that in there as the fire department has that public safety building. Because now it's out there on paper that somewhere I've got to absorb $500,000 for a building.
that's correct, you are correct.
I mean, that's not
So-
money that you're actually gonna give me to spend.
No,
That's
no, no.
just money that's allotted for that project starting now.
So if we did put any money into future capital stuff, is that something we could agree that would roll over from year to year? Because I know, because that is a
Well, that would
building
have to roll
account.
over.
That would, so we would agree that would roll over from year to
Yeah,
year?
I think
I
that-
realize we're gonna finance the building, but it's better, in my opinion, if I have that money laid back. And when we
We
go
have
sign a
a
note for $1
big
million
portion of
to
it.
build this building, we're not
It's gonna cost more than.
going in debt that much because we have this money allotted for the building to start with.
3 years ago, it was
Basically,
700,
it's
we
not
budgeted
small
$1
money
million, you know
thinking.
what it is now?
Basically, we want to create a savings account.
More or less, where it's approved and it builds until we decide, me and you get together and we go, okay, it's time.
So how much does a brush truck cost now?
Right at $200,000 for the one I'm on.
What is that?
Well, I'm wanting a brush / rescue truck for extrications.
Brush.
You can drive it off-road without brush.
Put it in the fields.
I mean,
It's
Off-road.
a wildfire
Think
truck.
of it as a
A
super
wildfire
water
truck,
hose.
like a wildfire truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I want them all to use it for
For
wrecks
medical
and
Yeah,
whatever.
that'd be fantastic.
I mean, I can get a brush truck for 100, but why not have a rescue vehicle at the same, yes. And
I agree with you.
it's a multi-use
Yeah.
vehicle.
So I throw it back to y'all, do y'all want to put $140K, $150,000 back in and let him build that on a year-to-year basis? I was trying to be conservative, but if y'all want to put it back in, we can.
Well, it's one of them things that don't have to happen. It's just if it's available and it's there,
We should.
you know, the council can come back to it at the end of next fiscal year and say, okay, that money's there, let's put it away.
Yeah.
I think we need to leave it, put it in the budget and leave it. And worst case scenario, we don't have but 25,000 instead of 50,000, just off the top of the head numbers. That's what we got, but our aim goal is to have the 50,000 and 100,000, whatever the numbers are, at the end of the year, we can start setting money back. But if we have a shortfall, we have to, don't have the money doesn't come in, we put what we can back at the end goal. I think we need to start doing that and put that in a
The
separate.
police department needs to do that as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for, is a beginning to where we got a beginning point.
Or let me and him just make it an itemized item number that says, this is for that project.
You could do that for the building, his trucks, I think, need to
Yeah,
stay
yeah,
separate.
yeah, I'm talking about
Yeah,
just for the
but
building.
for the building, absolutely.
Yeah, because I've got my separate itemized for vehicle.
And it-
Right, yeah. It's just 'cause you don't want us to come back and go, well, we've already spent $200,000. Well, that was a fire truck.
Right.
I didn't get my place, I didn't get my cruisers in. You don't want that, so.
This isn't money that January the 1st we're gonna write checks for, is what I'm getting at.
Try to hold on to it.
It's it's a plan that we're gonna try our best to do.
An investment.
Yeah.
And
And
then that makes sense.
Here's another question for you. When do you think you're gonna purchase brush truck, rescue truck, whatever?
I'm looking now, probably, well, I need to get firefighters trained up before we start the fire side, but it'll be before spring.
It's like, even if we don't have
But
a
we're
big,
gonna finance it, see the 50,000, that's a year's worth of maintenance. If we finance it, or even more than that, probably.
well, then so we've got the American Rescue Act money sitting there, so there's, put $100K down payment on it. You're actually in your first year of what you've asked for, you've paid for that truck.
Right.
And that's,
Cause that's already been approved, correct? Am I right? That was
well,
voted on?
we
Well, we had planned it.
had planned it, I don't know that that's a guarantee, but it was something we had agreed upon at the time, which can change which can change. But at the time, if we do go back to that mindset, we agreed to put $100K into a truck. Of course, at the time, we were thinking about something quite a bit different, but that's okay, because we're growing. So if we went with this, you're looking at $50K for the building per year and $100K per year for a vehicle. So just like the police department, we need to put $100K for a vehicle in there at a minimum. And then the $50K is if we have it left over at the end of the year. That's the way we gotta do that.
So for the police department, we're not putting 100K.
We gotta get 70, right?
Right,
Yes.
I get 70, yes, sir.
Yeah. And but the cost of the police car is 70 now?
That's
Probably.
plus outfitting it and
for two.
everything.
For two, right, but you've gotten there because you were very creative in your trade-in process, and so you're way ahead of the game. We're way behind the game.
Really and truly, I've only got about, by the time I do a trade and all that, I've only got maybe 20 grand, that'll be good.
Which is just awesome.
So
But we're not there.
Yeah.
we need to put 50 in his budget for the 10-year plan on the
Right,
Yes.
right.
public safety.
So 50 in his budget, 50 in your budget, which is 100 in a combined budget, the way the chief had mentioned a minute ago, which is probably the right way to look at it. And then, but in your line, it's not 480 anymore, it's 580, 712. Is what your actual budget is now. And that gives you, and I would love to see him over the next couple of years possibly trade these trucks in, probably what we're buying, but the kind of we'll have whole resale like yours do. Then we can get to a similar place where you're at. That's what I'm hoping for. So you got nothing if you do.
Absolutely. Especially the responder vehicle, they should be able to flip easy.
I don't know I mean, who knows?
I'm making do with what I got right now.
Yeah, I'm just
I
saying,
hadn't
in the
even put
future.
that anywhere in a budget because I think I'd milk a year or two out of it.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
I think so. So for budget purposes, not for the 5-year, 10-year, whatever. So for budget purposes, we're changing brush/pumper thing to 100,000 instead of 500.
What you can do is just relabel that line as vehicles.
Okay?
And it can be however he wishes to spend it, whether it's a responder car, if he wants to, that.
And it's 100.
It's 100,
Okay.
and that should be one of those accounts that rolls over at the end of the year. So if he doesn't spend the whole 100, he's got whatever's left in it to put towards next year, because a $100,000 truck this year is a $600,000 truck next year, because they're different levels of what he's buying.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So what are we doing on the public safety building? What are we doing with that? Now, I heard 2 or 3 different
50.
things.
58.
50 each. Okay. Just making sure. Want to make sure I understand.
If the funds are available.
If the funds are available, yeah.
And are we leaving the leftover?
So the
Council.
fif-
I just want it to look right when I present it to y'all Tuesday night for a vote. So
So
what
this-
is y'all's thoughts? I mean,
This 100K is a rollover fund. It's a future building fund.
no, I know that. I'm talking about all the other leftover
Well, I've just essentially increased my
I would like to,
asking budget by that amount, so you can even not call it leftover. or
You're asking
rollover.
to increase your budget by that,
I
okay,
did- the right-hand column is what I'm asking for.
all
okay,
I need is the
Everything-
right-hand column at the
yeah.
council meeting. That's all I need.
okay.
Everything
Gotcha.
is moved over there.
That's what I
and
wanna
the
make sure I
numbers are-
understand.
So we're gonna roll over the truck money,
Yeah,
and building money,
When do we
and left is rolling over and staying, and let it build.
correct.
Okay.
And there's a good possibility he'll spend it all this first year, but he probably won't the next.
Always be there, nickel
I think
dime,
it's-
whatever.
Twenty 26 or something like that.
That gives me 100 plus
You're
another
good.
100, that gets me a brush truck.
All right, you're good.
If
I mean, we could pay for a brush truck pretty much out of
Rescue
that.
plan 100.
And if they don't, then you've got 100 and then you finance.
Because we can't afford the playground without
I'll
money.
finance and put it in.
Playgrounds cost more than that.
So,
Sir,
I mean, we've got the American Rescue Plan here.
right.
And if we put $200,000 toward your brush truck on that and left the 53 in there for the playground,
Well, minus his 12 something.
Jason's
it
got,
says 12, so
You
it's
ain't got enough for a playground.
40,000 for
Playground's gonna cost us about $400,000.
$400,000.
I'm happy with doing the 100.
To be more than just swings and a slide, yep.
I'm happy with
That's
doing
more
the
than
100 in the
swimming
budget.
pool, isn't it?
But that's like with the safety stuff and all that and ADA compliant and everything. Yeah, that's why Hampton Coves is piece by piece by
Theirs was
piece by
just their last one was $160,000
And it was two
just for
pieces.
equipment.
And it was two pieces.
And it was the infant thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm happy, Mayor, with just the 100
Okay,
in the truck column
okay.
and then just 100 out of the rescue plan that we had discussed when we were talking about the rescue plan money. That gives me the 2 I need to get the brush truck.
Their question is, did they pull 100 out of the general budget, the second 100, or did they pull it out of the American Rescue Act? that's
And
the
we
question.
can legitimately pull it out of ARPA, and then you would be able to get your truck, and then there wouldn't be a payment or anything like that.
And you still have your 100,000 building. for next year.
Building for your big truck.
So you take 200 out of American Rescue,
No, the 100 wouldn't go back into his budget because it would come out of the,
No, we would take the whole 200.
200 out of
Because he
American
said
Rescue.
200 for,
Yeah, but we
Brush
don't have that in the rescue thing to get Jason's thing.
yeah, we do, we have 250 something.
$3,000.
but so the, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If we put 200,000 American Rescue money into a truck, okay, that pays for the truck, and you still got 100,000 in his budget, that would just be in a revolving account that'll build to next year, we need a $600,000 pumper, we'll already have that 100 there.
Right.
Is that what we're looking at? Okay.
I'll make sure I'm with that. So what do you do? So we take the 200 out of the American Rescue, but we would still give him the 100 in the vehicle line.
Yes, for him
Yeah.
to save for the pumper truck for next year or the
That would
next.
be,
Right.
that would help a lot with what we gotta buy.
Right, because we don't have the money to do a playground like we want anyway.
I didn't understand that way, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad that works for me.
You know I can't spell, but my memory's pretty good.
Yeah, I know,
Then
I'm good with
That's
that.
fine.
That still leaves Jason room to get his fingerprint scan thing, and then it leaves us about, what'd you say, 30?
Yeah.
35,000 in there. So we can do what we need to with it.
For an emergency.
We can talk about the security stuff we talked about as well.
Yes, yeah.
And then on the other fire stuff, James and Shannon, Tarcog is working with us. We have a membership with them, and they are doing our grants for us for everything except for ADECA. And that is who we need to talk to about grants for y'all. If they know you're looking for it, they will search for it and work with you guys.
So we need to get a grant list together, Shannon. Start finding, because there's a lot of this stuff I would
I'll
love
get
to run
you some
through grants
contact
first.
information, so y'all
And then
can
try to
contact
get some
them,
money.
and they'll meet with you, or they'll do a
All they need to know is what we need grant money for, right? They don't need.
basically, and then they'll get like number information from me, and then
They don't need the.
they're great though.
Oh, we paying
Specific
them for
grant,
that?
they just need.
They don't have to know what grant you're
We're
looking
looking
for.
for a grant.
They just need to know, we need turnouts, or we need,
How do we pay them for that?
it's an annual fee of $750.
That's easy.
They're great. They're the ones that do our, now we have to pay them for excess maps and stuff, like they provide 4 maps and we pay for
I
excess.
remember us talking about it, I'd forgotten all, we
Yeah.
had that conversation.
The head girl there, her name is Sarah, she's great, and then she has a great team under her, she's built a great team, they're great.
We need to wear that service. Oh,
Out,
we
yes,
do.
we do. So don't forget, this is who we're using for grants, Jason. We're using Tarcog for grants.
So you
All right.
gonna email contact?
I will work on it, yes. Just, if I forget, please remind me, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, that's why I just asked you if you.
Okay, are we done with fire for now?
I hope so.
Okay.
This spotlight's hot.
Really, mine's basically the same as last year, with one exception that I am asking is for an increase from $350 for uniform allowance to $500 per officer for uniform allowance, for the simple fact of everything went up. Right now, to get a couple shirts and a couple pairs of pants, it's about $300.
And a pair of boots is 200.
Yeah, and just a pair of boots is $200, so, yeah.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So a year ago, you and I talked about this, and maybe it was a year and a half ago, I can't remember, because my days run together. But we talked about with all these subdivisions and stuff coming in, eventually adding another police officer.
Yes.
So, and because that's a whole other stand-up of the truck, which we're not budgeted for, technically. I
Right.
mean, you could have enough rollover to do it, based on how you do it, it just depends. Yeah, of course, are you putting a future thought into that in your budget?
I am not right at this very moment. We have looked at it, and roughly for me to hire somebody brand new and get them going, right now, it's gonna be about $150,000 for the first year, just to get
That's
somebody.
salary,
Yeah,
vehicle,
that's salary,
everything.
vehicle, because, of course, we're out of vehicles, so, it's not like I can put them in a vehicle, so we had to buy another vehicle,
Now, that
additional.
can't do your roll thing, which is, that's kind of,
But I mean, that'd be fine, because he'd just fall right in the loop with the road next time. But-
just the initial hit.
Yep, the initial hit would be about 150 grand for the first year, and then after that, it would just be for, salary, what,
And is there some grant money out there potentially to do that with?
Yes.
there was, I don't know if there still is, but I could definitely, check into that. There was one that was called the COPS grant, and, we could definitely check into that, and what that did was, I believe it paid, I want to say it paid like 80%.
Some percent.
For the first 3 years, and then after that, then you're responsible for the
Same with the
100%.
firefighter one work that we looked at. And
Okay.
didn't apply for and didn't get. So.
Yeah, be the same.
I don't think we could have had a better grant writer. So. But yeah, so I think 3 or 5 years, and
Yeah, I
they
think it's
paid
3
either 70 or 80%. You paid the rest.
Yep.
I don't know, just thinking out loud.
Yep. And I mean, I could use one more, really, truly, right now. Technically, my national standards, I'm actually 4 short. There's no, if I had 4 more officers, they'd be tripping over themselves right now. But technically, you're supposed to have 3 per 1,000 is the national standard. So that's a total of, we got about 3,000 people, so that'd be nine officers. We've got 5. But one more would be fantastic, in the near future. That would be very, very good.
So is that a 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year plan to bring somebody in?
I hope a year.
Okay, so next year's budget, we should start thinking about this.
Yes,
Just a question.
yep, absolutely. As
So
long as we can afford it without,
I need to,
Don't miss the COPS grant when
right.
it comes up.
I need to point something out. The gasoline at the fire station, that's in his budget. Did you account for my responder cars in your requested?
I have a response to that. Whenever you turn in your gas logs, I do a journal entry to subtract out, and charge it to you,
Okay.
what you used. And when, CT and Will turn in gas logs, I do the same thing and charge it to maintenance.
I didn't know if he needed to up his budget to account.
We
for
do
the-
automatically charge out of Jason's just because I don't have a gas log every time a bill comes, so, but then I do journal entries and he knows that, so we do
will
that.
be in the next year, and I just want to make sure we were covered.
Yes, sir. Any other questions about the police department's money? Great. Let me catch us up here. Payroll. No, let's go to sewer. Teresa's not here to speak on behalf of herself, but we'll do it with her. Do it for her. So the closed sewer account collection is where the accounts have closed and we're trying to collect through the state municipal internet intercept services. So that's how much we collected this year through that program. It's a $25 fee off of each one. So it's pretty good what we've collected out of old, closed, moved away, can't find any more people. And then pump stations, that's what we got paid for, pump stations that went in. I'm not gonna go through it line by line, except for sewer account payments, that's what she has brought in so far this year on sewer payments, which is great. Yep. And then, I know all of y'all are aware of her board in her room where she has all of her collections. And that board was so long that there were days that she really needed a second board at the bottom, and now it's like half full. Isn't that what it was, Shannon, when you were here yesterday, about half full now? Yeah, so,
Yeah, she's doing a great job.
yeah, she's worked her booty off on that. And
It
thanks
was-
again
it
to the
was
police
noticeably
officers for
short.
helping with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Bill did go up on his monthly, fee this year. It's, as you can see, it's now $5,000 a month just for his monthly maintenance.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, I was finishing.
You're fine. This year, we paid $131,389.30 to Huntsville for sewer. I budgeted $150. I don't know. Sewer line inspections, that's where they look the TBIs on the sewer line connections.
You do that down the road side, right?
That's where they do the connection from the house to the road, to make sure that there's no issues that they try to put back on us.
But so we also have him gonna be doing some TBI in the lines down.
Yes, but we don't know,
Don't know what
what the cost of, there's no way to guesstimate the cost on that. So what Mayor's talking about is, the lines in each of the neighborhoods on that side of the highway are all gonna be TBI to look for, stormwater infiltration. That's one reason you'll see the bills are kinda high from the city of Huntsville, is because stormwater infiltration. You'll see when it's a rainy month, our bill's 30-something thousand. If it's a dry month, our bill is as low as 15,000. And so, there's obvious much infiltration going on, but it takes TBI in each line, and it's a very, tedious process. TARCOG, is making maps at street level, and they're going to be marked with manholes, so they'll be easier for the guys on Bill's team to do the TBIs and make sure they get every manhole and figure out exactly where the infiltration is happening.
That's smart, it's good business later on.
Yeah, plus it will help with our new plants coming, it'll help with the wear and tear and the usage and all that good stuff, So that's a big project we're working on behind the scenes, it's just, getting it all going and not knowing how much it's gonna cost to do it all, so. Anyway, is there any questions there on, any of that expense or in the budgeted amounts there? We expect for the sewer account payments to be more than $375, but it's just hard to know, so we just threw a number out there. No questions? Great. James. You want to do yours?
No, you run with it, you did everything else.
I don't have to do everything.
Good job.
Okay, so James and I and Mayor worked together and looking at the budget, and we changed, and then I changed it some more. We moved all cell phones, regular phones, computer and network has always been under James. Security, fax, internet, copiers, it's all under James. And so that's what this is, it's just a breakdown. If you look at the phones for, not phones, security for the fire department, it looked like it was a whole lot for this past year, but part of that's the installation fees and all that. We also started phones at the fire department for the first time, and now we can just dial direct to each other instead of have to find a cell phone and call and blah, blah, blah. They have two lines over there now.
You can transfer.
And we can
calls.
transfer to them, that's correct. They have voicemail, all that stuff, so it's good.
Seems like it's part of the main building.
Yes, nobody would ever know they were in a separate building.
It's one to go.
Yes. We still have a fax, so we have to use it for the jail. So that's what the fax charges are about. But that's basically all we use it for. It's the police department. I don't know.
So on the 22-23 side of it, that's, so you added Shannon's $10,000 for the equipment and software, that's that, right?
Yes, that says dash FD.
Okay. So
Yes.
in that 10 grand, we're covering both hardware and software and the additional support that's gonna take to run those?
Well, when we add it to Livewire, it's gonna come up, the maintenance and support is all gonna come up
That's what I'm saying.
as one thing. So it's not gonna come up, this is my support for fire department, this is my support for
No, it won't, but if we're asking, I've got to increase everything in order to
Yes,
pay
sir.
for one thing, right?
So, right, so what this computer equipment software FD, and that probably doesn't need to say software, it probably just needs to say computer equipment FD, and I thought about his tablets or his computers would go under there.
Well, so what needs to go underneath that in reality is, it's not gonna break out this way. And that's.
We have to decide what your percentages are if you want me to break out the support lines.
And I don't know what that is without, because there's a break point when you're dealing with Livewire with how many computers they service at a time, right? And there's so many computers for X dollars, and there's another break line that's so many
Yeah, and
computers.
we can look at that.
So, I would like to cap how many computers do you need, Shannon?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tablets or.
Okay, so he needs $10,000 in computer equipment,
Okay,
and
so
then we need to add lines for, we need to increase, the Livewire part of it, and we need to increase.
the maintenance and support, or software and support.
Well, now he can tag on to, FirstNet for the services.
Yes,
For,
for his, connectivity.
connectivity.
Right,
Right,
see,
yeah.
all of Jason's hardware, software is underneath police department, but not the equipment as far as the computers, they're under your line.
And the reason for that is because we pay Livewire to maintain them all.
Gotcha.
And the licenses for some of the software are universal, where we may only buy one server license, but 5 people may use it depending on what time. And so that's why I did it all up underneath me versus broken up. And because when we put your computers underneath me, we put them underneath Livewire, which has got you the 24/7 support, so that they've got what they need, right? So that's what I'm getting at. So we can leave equipment and software at 10 grand. He'll probably spend 10 grand on just buying software and equipment. But we also need to increase whatever we're gonna be paying Livewire.
Yeah.
And then we have to add in Polly's computer, and I have to have a computer this year, James said.
But we budgeted, yes, and what we budgeted new computers for upgrades. That's already in the budget. Upgrade-
3,500? Computer and network upgrade says 100, and then computer equipment says 3,500.
Yeah, that was, when did we do this? My mind's gone blank. All right, that's obviously not enough. So, we need to, let's lump putting Polly, you, and whoever else needs upgrades this year into equipment. Let's make it 10 grand.
The one that's 3,500?
Make it 10 grand.
Okay.
So we're gonna go up by $6,500, and I hope I'm overshooting. Because the laptop is, because they're not that high end. Should be $1,000.
Mine's just worn out.
That's fine. I mean, it is. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
And-
so we're just changing that, and we're taking the software part off of fire department?
No, you're gonna leave that as
Leave that on
equipment
there?
and software for 10 grand total.
Okay.
And we're gonna do general outside of fire department upgrades. Chief, do you need any upgrades on your side?
Yeah, actually, I need a whole new computer system. One was donated to us by Walmart, but, it's not that,
We can't use it, if I remember you correct.
yeah, we can't use it.
So what was that system for?
That was so the officers, if they were here in the, office doing reports, or doing multiple cases, more than one officer could have another officer speed the process.
So it's just a basic general setup.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy, not a laptop, not anything high end.
No, just a basic tower is all we need.
Yeah,
I
we
think
have-
We've got the monitor and all that, I just need a tower.
I think that 10 grand will cover that.
Yeah.
I think it will. That 3,500 to 10 grand
Yes, sir.
should cover giving him a new
Okay.
basic tower computer, I'm hoping. We're going to need to, I was looking across on software and support. We just pulled a number, didn't we?
We did.
But it probably would be nice to get James to run a test on ours to make sure that ours is still running to capacity speed, you know.
I
It's
agree with
not-
that. I agree with
That's not,
You need to change that software support to, is that?
That doesn't include all his other software stuff, but this is, that does to do with this part. This is just computers.
So that 8 probably just make it a 10 as well, because
Okay.
by the time we add additional licenses for things, 2 grand's gonna get up in a hurry. So,
well, just if y'all do allow me to get that, fingerprint scan, after the first year, it's gonna go up to $1,400 there, Terry, so $2 grand.
yeah, but I would like to run that through your budget and not mine.
Oh, okay. That's what I did, that's what I
I'm throwing that back at you real quick.
Yeah, I
You see how much I'm eating over here? Because, I'm gonna be on Frank and Beans for a long time. I got no money for dinner left, this is bad.
Yeah.
But no, this is, software if Judge Polly needs special software.
Yes, sir.
If there's another license that she needs down there, or if there's something that Laura needs on the other side that we haven't budgeted for.
I got you.
And so, because additional Microsoft Office licenses, you know, we pay for,
I had to buy one today for that.
that's, yeah, so additional Microsoft
Yeah.
Office licenses, which is how much now? Give me a
A
number.
lot, I don't know.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
A lot.
So,
Is that why we were signed out on our side over there? It said that we were signed out of Office 365?
Yeah, because he signed out and then rebooted everybody up.
so let's just.
Sorry, I
move
didn't
that
know
to
he was doing
10.
it until he did it.
Yeah.
That to 10 and that to leave that at 10. And that'll give you money in the IT budget for your computer, Shannon. And we need to have a long talk with Lightwire about what this, because we're doubling.
Yes.
I don't know what it's gonna cost me.
Don't cost you much.
Yeah, so that's something I gotta figure out. Yeah, between now and next week, maybe I'll have time to have a talk with them. Okay.
Those there's probably some licensing around, things I would need, because they're gonna be using one website.
Right, so you may not need all of that.
Correct.
But you'll have to have some of it because we use Outlook or email and things like that. So you still gotta have part of it, unfortunately. All right, any questions on the rest, because it's kind of a crazy budget. All
Okay,
right. Those are the only changes I got.
got it. Payroll. Some of these are included on the other sheets, like fire, police, we talked about, building inspectors.
Are the building inspectors not gonna go way up this year compared to last year?
Tim's at a set rate. He gets paid the same thing every 2 weeks, kind of like you and
Okay.
couple other people.
I didn't know that.
And then Alan won't increase unless he starts doing a lot more commercial.
Right.
He gets paid per inspection. And then as far as the, what was I saying? Lost it. I don't know. Anyway, y'all look through, see what you think. Questions, whatever. The clerks include all 4 of us girls, so, but we do expense it differently, like Brandy's is expensed to corrections. And then also, any magistrate work that Teresa does is expensed to corrections.
At some point in time, it might be nice to see it broken down more like Laura makes money, Teresa makes money, Brandy makes money, so you can show where theirs don't fall under just general budget, but how they're actually they're paying their own way by doing it.
Okay. So, for Teresa, I'll explain that a little bit. 90% of hers is expense to sewer. 2% is expense to
It'll be broken.
corrections, and the rest of it's expense to general because of business license and insurance license and stuff. I'm all general,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
And then Laura's is about 50-50. building department, which is still general, and then just normal general.
Where's retirement benefits?
Yeah, where?
It's wrapped into the, this is the salaries, so that includes that, and then the payroll tax expense, it says tax, it shouldn't say tax.
I got you.
It should say all expenses, but yeah, they're there, I promise. So, but I can get you exact numbers if you really want
I
them.
don't want that, I just didn't want us to miss nothing.
No,
Yeah,
we didn't.
That would actually be a good line.
Okay.
We're going forward, the medical insurance, we pay out medical insurance every year.
It's in the budget on this next page. So are we done with, payroll? Thank you. So this is very long. I don't think we need to go through it line by line, but I will hit on the things that y'all were just asking about. And then if y'all have any questions, of course, we'll talk about it. Should be on this page. Medical insurance. It's on the 4th page, midway down. We paid $140,833.70 this year. The employees' portion that they pay is credited back to this line item.
Just credited back to the medical insurance line. item.
Yes, sir.
So
And
exactly
it's not
what
very
is,
many.
what does the town pay out?
Remember, we pay $1,000 per employee. We passed that about a year and a half ago.
So it's not bad.
No.
Yeah, that's the one that.
Yeah, and then, we only have a few employees who actually have overage. Most people are under.
Is it Blue Cross or?
It's the Cadillac plan of Blue Cross.
All right.
It's medical, vision, and dental.
It even has a life insurance policy.
And then we have a life insurance policy. Employees can also choose to get Aflac if they have excess between their $1,000. They can use that, or if they're over, they pay that out of pocket.
I remember it was either $700 or $800 per employee.
Yeah, it went up last year, of course, and it's going up again.
So that's what it cost us out of pocket, and it was about half of what the town was paying at the time. And so we get paid a little extra, because I think it's what, $1,500-1,600 for total family coverage, and the town pays $1,000, so the average employee's at about $500 or $600 a month for really good $20 copay with Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah, that's great.
Good stuff.
Great benefit that you're
Along with state retirement.
Yes,
Yeah.
state retirement.
301 state retirement.
Oh, yeah, you passed that, changed it to tier 1.
It's all two,
That's great.
Yeah.
that. 4 years ago. Yeah, I think so.
No, it's while I was here. So you're good. I'll have to-
Yeah, I did that for Christie and Tracy.
It's Jason Holman.
It's just.
Ours, because the way it was set up was, if we didn't do it, then our rate would stay X amount, but if we agreed to do it, then more had to come out of mine in order to give it to them.
That was generous of you.
Y'all welcome.
So that every month, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like 1% or something like that, very minute.
So our dumpster cost is going up this year, or is that?
That's for us and the one at sewer, at the sewer plant as well. We haven't had it for a full year, so
Right.
I just kind of multiply them.
Fuel pump maintenance.
We didn't have any expense last year
Just something
for
I
that,
think that's what
thankfully. But the year before that, we had a lot of work on it, remember? So,
And the whole new phone.
gas has gone up tremendously, of course. That's affected us too as city for our pumps. Our 2021 audit came back and it was well. Larry and Mayor got a copy of it. If anyone else on the council would like to see it, I'll be glad to forward it to them. He's already asked me for this year's. I explained to him how serious the state had gotten about us submitting our audits to them within 6 weeks of year end. So he's already asking me when I can have numbers to him. So hopefully he'll be more Johnny on the spot this year. But audits are stinking expensive. Just tell y'all that right now. We implemented doing drug tests last year, and then we had a lull in doing it, but Jason and I have been talking, and we decided that we need to continue that this year. And we've been doing 2 a month, is that not correct?
Yeah, we're gonna start doing.
And they'll be random. They have this wheel thing online you can just plug names into and hit spin, and it pops names out to you, so.
So let me ask how it's broken out, that's full-time, part-time, so.
Every
everything
employee,
reserved Too?
that's up to Jason.
No, I'm not doing that one reserves, because most of them work anyway, so.
Yeah. So it would be random, and then they have to go within an hour or whatever of us.
By the
and
end of the
Or
day.
by the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy that random stuff. My office mate and I got selected randomly 3 times in a row. Sorry, but I just don't buy it random anymore.
I think we decided to take your name out once you've been chosen for a few months and then put your name back in. You know, I mean, that's silly, somebody having to go every month or something, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not random, though, that's the problem, you have to leave it in there.
Yep.
And that's the problem.
Ugh,
Yeah, I know.
just seems like a waste.
We're not budgeting anything for cold mix for street repairs.
Not for cold mix because it's free for us from the county.
Yeah, it gives it to us.
They're giving it to us. Will goes over there with a bunch of different 5-gallon buckets and fills it up and then goes out there and does the road.
That's the way it's been done.
They said, there it is, go get it, buddy. They took him around with them, 2 different days,
Yeah. He's
showing
had,
him, and he was like, oh yeah.
he's made numerous trips when he's doing the patching to
Yeah.
the shed to get the
Yep.
cold patch.
We did add in our budget for maintenance.
Did they ever get the old brush truck lights changed out?
It's at,
It's still there.
it's still there.
They had to order something came in wrong, some lenses came in wrong.
Okay.
That's what Will told me.
Yeah, well, when he first took it,
I
when
just
they,
thought about that.
remember they wanted it there on the 13th.
Right,
And I wasn't gonna be here, you weren't gonna be here. Will got it there though.
right.
And then they were like, can you just take it back, come back and get it because our guy's out sick? And he was like, just keep it. You know, it's gonna be here, he's gonna be there tomorrow, right, or whatever. And they're like, yeah. So they kept it, but then there was, like he said, they got the wrong thing, so it's still there. He's been using the mosquito truck for all of his work because
Right.
he didn't have anything else.
It was paving, they were gonna do no more.
Jason knows.
I talked to them and they said that what they were doing was they did the spot patching right now, to kind of even it up, and then said that they were, what I was told, the company's supposed to be coming back and doing like an inch or 2 inch,
Special treatment.
special type of treatment sealing stuff that nobody's using yet, and to see how it works. It's supposed to be this new state-of-the-art type paving thing. But I don't know when they're supposed to start it or anything like that. I thought that they would have already done it.
Yeah,
I have no
that
idea.
was the county engineer and Craig's plan that was supposed to be already done on the first part of October when we tear it.
Because I seen Dustin out today and I asked him, and I was like, what's the deal with that? I said, I thought they were gonna repave the whole thing. And I said, it looks like it's just spot paving. He said, oh no, that's what they're doing, they're spot paving to level up and to smooth out the roadway before they come in and do this new stuff, whatever it is. Hey, Lee.
Is there any questions about the, I was gonna tell y'all, I didn't, I'm sorry, guys. Just kidding. For the maintenance guys, Will, CT, especially those two guys, we added a line in here under mayor's approval, and I hope that y'all will approve as well. Jason and I went to a liability, sorry, thank you, a liability class for our insurance company, and they talked about you can't expect your employees to be safe if you don't provide the proper equipment. So we added a line item to order them steel-toe boots, the proper gloves, and different things like that. We've already ordered them helmets and things, but the steel-toe boots was a big thing, especially with him driving poles for the street signs and being out on the road picking up the trash or doing the paving work and stuff. And then, what was the other? Do you remember? I have a list in my office, I just don't have it in my mind right now. Well, anyway, that's what one of the line items in there, if you'll see, there's like a uniform line for maintenance, that's what that is. They also wear t-shirts when they're working for us. that say-
Personal protective equipment.
Yes, if we don't provide it, we can't expect them to be safe, so.
Yeah, so if they was to get injured on the job, then.
There is a potential that we would not have to, they'd not get paid back on workers' comp if they got injured and they weren't wearing their appropriate equipment. We also decided that once we issue them the appropriate safety equipment and when they are caught not using that equipment while they're doing their job, by me, Jason, or someone else reputable, then they would be written up.
Most places just do a flat budget for a year for shoes.
Yeah, well, this is shoes, gloves, and vest, and,
They need new traffic vests or something.
Well, I know that's the gloves and the vest, that's just standard stock items. You
right,
Shoes can be $50 to $500 for a pair
Yeah.
of shoes.
I called a Red Wing and they said about $250 is the average cost, yeah.
So that's kind of gets that thing where it's why most people set a limit, and it's X number of dollars, and that's every year. And you spend it all, or you don't spend
Get
it all.
an allowance for it.
That's what you get. And I think if we're gonna do the PP, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, in fact, I agree with it 100%. You can leave the gloves,
The vests and
vests,
Under equipment,
uniform, whatever, but you ought to pull shoes out as a specific thing, and we ought to have a specific policy for how we do shoes.
Right, specific type of shoe, it needs to be
Specific things, specific
6,
amount of
8
money,
inch steel toe.
electrically,
Yeah.
oil slip,
Resistant.
right, the whole 9 yards, steel toe, composite toe, but what you're willing to do in the shoe, things like that. And then, so you have a requirement, and then you set a rotating schedule where you replace those.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of different ways to do that. One is you set up an account with a certain store, and you pay the account directly. One is you pay the employee, and you let them get their own. And that, again, they think about how you really want to do it.
Yeah.
So the very last thing is the predicted or projected budget for this coming year. Of course, this has none of the changes that were talked about tonight. This will have the changes for Tuesday night. And I will try to get that done and emailed out with the rest of the stuff for the meeting. I think you got in trouble at school a lot. I love you, Shannon.
You know what I call the one thing in front of the toilet, I always yell at?
B.
Mama,
I said, give him a pair of Red Wings, they're guaranteed.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
I had called
but if
both.
you're gonna do it right, you have to give them an allowance, because it's a wear item.
Yeah, I know.
They're gonna get damaged, you're gonna get, and nobody won't wear the same pair of shoes for 10 years, even though they're guaranteed for
Oh,
life.
no, this is an
So,
annual thing anyway,
You set up a budget for it,
man.
and that's just a good procedure
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah,
I've had so many.
for maintenance for
Can't
personnel.
go wrong with it, no less.
so. Okay, so I would like to request that if anyone has any changes other than what we discussed tonight, would you please email me by noon tomorrow?
can't guarantee that I'll talk to him between now and tomorrow,
Who?
though. Light wire,
Oh, yeah, that's okay, we'll work with that.
because I got a feeling.
That's probably gonna be,
We gotta have a executive level discussion about that, I'm afraid, between now and next Tuesday.
okay.
I'm afraid.
Okay. All right, other than that, at the very back of y'all's packets, you'll see that we're doing our food drive again this year. It started September 1. There's baskets in the foyer. Please, if you think, bring some non-perishable goods to go to the care center. And then there's also the flyer for the Halloween drive-through. So y'all don't forget if you get to do that. Everything's been bought, it's just gonna all be bagged. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Very good. Have a motion to amend. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
It's done.
Everyone's
Just from here.
I don't know if I'm supposed to.
Everybody's in favor.